5 billion kilometers from Earth, there is a planet that shouldn't even exist. Did you know that only one spacecraft has ever come close to the exiled planet Pluto? Most of what we know about Pluto comes from 2015, when a spacecraft passed by it. NASA has just confirmed a shocking discovery on Pluto that you won't believe is real. Volcanoes erupting ice and an underground ocean that is moving. What's really happening in the coldest place in the solar system? Are you ready? We're about to dive into the darkest part of the universe right now. Before 2015, humanity was completely blind. The educational system and textbooks of that era could only provide scarce, fragmented data. The only image from the Hubble telescope in 2002 was an insult to knowledge. A faint, blurry sphere with patches of lifeless orange, white, and black. Humans facing a mysterious speck of light with no tools to decipher it. This ambiguity created a terrifying knowledge gap at the edge of the solar system. The fear of uncertainty peaked until July 2015. NASA's New Horizons spacecraft hurtled through space, carrying out a suicidal mission to meet the icy dwarf planet. The moment the spacecraft passed by the celestial body, everything humanity had ever learned was shattered. The first stunning images sent back to Earth did not bring reassurance. They exposed a cold, glorious, yet threatening reality that no one had been capable of imagining before. The new data pouring in caused an extreme psychological shock to the scientific community. The high-resolution images completely obliterated the old theoretical picture. Instead of a lifeless rock, Pluto revealed itself as a world so complex that it was almost terrifying, with enormous mountains, deep valleys, and dense craters. The appearance of a gigantic, heart-shaped structure on the surface was not romantic. It was evidence of a deep, dark, snow-mud ocean hiding beneath the icy crust. The truth exposed forced humanity to admit its smallness and inadequacy. When scientists zoomed in on the final footage, they didn't see tranquility, but instead countless hidden, bizarre, and extremely fascinating features. This cold landscape contained secrets far beyond the reach of ordinary intellect. Now, the new educational lesson about Pluto was no longer theoretical lines, but a direct confrontation with a reality full of terrifying characteristics in the vast universe. The horror begins with liquid nitrogen lakes and deadly riverbeds. Just west of the massive heart-shaped structure, a vast depression 32 kilometers wide lies still, like a large scar on the planet's surface. The latest educational data forces humanity to confront a shocking truth. This was once a basin filled with flowing liquid, despite surface temperatures reaching minus 230 degrees Celsius. This is not the water that gives life, but deadly liquid nitrogen. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, this liquid carved and gouged the planet's surface into intersecting fissures, creating a bizarre hydrological system. The extreme temperature and pressure fluctuations as the planet neared the sun forced the nitrogen ice to sublime, transforming the rivers into bottomless pits. Their presence is a stark warning of an extreme geological cycle that no living organism could survive or withstand. Following that chaos are the eternal ice mountains, formed through the destruction and ravages of time. In the southern hemisphere, jagged peaks rise 3.5 kilometers high, towering in the dark space. These are not products of gentle tectonic collisions. They are the result of the ruthless and definitive process of sublimation erosion. Direct sunlight erodes solid ice blocks as hard as granite, but they are covered by dense, frozen methane snow. This process does not leave soft mountain slopes. It gnaws at the landscape, leaving only towering, sharp structures like daggers stabbing into the sky. This knowledge completely shatters any conventional understanding of how mountains are formed on Earth, exposing a cold and solitary physical law at the edge of the solar system. Scientists are forced to admit the presence of monstrous ice volcanoes. At Right Mons, a colossal 4 kilometers high structure emerges with a wide crater at its summit. This mountain expels cold sludge lava made of water, methane, and ammonia. This is living proof of a planet renewing its surface by vomiting volatile substances from the dark depths of its core. The existence of the largest ice volcano in the outer solar system does not offer hope. It's a threatening affirmation of the mysterious energy still smoldering in the heart of a world that seemed to be dead and frozen. These eruptions continuously erase historical traces, transforming Pluto's surface into a land without memory, only filled with dangerous change. The fear of instability extends to the vast fields of giant sand dunes, where the sand is replaced by sharp ice particles. Running along the western edge of the heart are sand ripples, stretching miles upon miles, creating a classic icy desert scene. The winds on Pluto have swept tiny methane ice particles into the air, pushing them upwards to form mountain-like structures due to the extremely low gravity. The constant movement of these ice particles under the thin atmospheric pressure creates a continuous, dynamic state. These sand dunes do not remain still. They are mobile entities, ready to bury anything in their path. Every geological stability law we've learned is challenged and torn apart here. Inside the vast nitrogen plains, hard water ice chunks shatter and float like wreckage on a dead sea. Because water ice is lighter than nitrogen ice, they are pushed towards the edges of the craters by convection currents from an unknown heat source deep beneath. The appearance of giant cell-like formations indicates that the entire surface has been slowly and continuously churning for millions of years. Pluto's heart is not a symbol of love. It's a thermonuclear reactor, operating blindly, pushing the icebergs into the void. This entire reality forces humanity to marvel, tremble, and admit that we are facing a world that never sleeps, trapped in the absolute coldness of the universe. Don't let yourself remain blind to the brutal mysteries of the universe. Hit subscribe right now to face the truths no one has dared to tell you. A like from you is a statement that you're brave enough to step into the darkness with us. The first shock comes from an atmosphere capable of self-destruction and freezing. Traditional educational knowledge about a stable sky is completely shattered on Pluto. This fragile atmosphere, 80,000 times thinner than Earth's, is created by the very evaporation of surface ice particles under the weak influence of sunlight. Its existence is a breathless fragility. A dense fog forms from chemical reactions between light and methane gas, creating tiny hydrocarbon particles capable of scattering blue light. These fog particles do not vanish, but settle, forming countless complex layers of atmosphere that extend up to 200 kilometers. This is a geological structure in the sky, filled with dangerous and unstable variables. The real fear strikes when the planet begins its 248-year orbit around the Sun. As Pluto moves farther from its heat source, its entire atmosphere is forced to freeze and fall straight to the surface. This is not a normal weather phenomenon. It's the collapse of an atmospheric system. The entire sky turns into intense nitrogen snowstorms, or cold fog, that directly condenses onto the ground. In the Tombaugh Regio area, the thick nitrogen snow is solid proof that the sky has once been torn apart and fallen to the ground. The disappearance of the atmosphere is a harsh reality, turning every space into a tomb with no air to sustain any form of existence. This horror leads us to the secrets deep within the heart of Tombaugh Regio. Scattered throughout this area are colossal structures stretching miles after miles, resembling fragments from a great tectonic collision. These giant water ice blocks are actually floating on the surface of nitrogen ice. Since water ice is less dense than nitrogen ice, it's pushed into the central area by glaciers, drifting aimlessly. It's a battlefield of massive blocks of matter, colliding and shifting in the absolute cold. The climax of surprise and fear lies in the convective cells that are eerily active. The surface of the heart region clearly shows strange cellular formations, traces of a continuous convection process. The existence of these cells is solid evidence of a mysterious heat source simmering just beneath the ice. This heat source forces the vast nitrogen plains to continuously churn, slowly and relentlessly, over millions of years. Pluto's heart is truly beating to a terrifying geological rhythm, constantly renewing the surface and pushing icebergs toward the edges of the convection trenches. The entire system operates under harsh physical laws, with no room for mercy. The icebergs are forced from below, gathering around the convection trenches in an extremely disciplined but threatening order. This regulated movement exposes the reality that Pluto is a living geological entity, yet it breathes the air of death. Humanity must admit that behind the calm exterior at the edge of the solar system, there is a massive reactor in operation, ready to crush any concept of stability we were once taught. The icebergs tend to concentrate around these convection areas because they might be pushed to the edges by the forces beneath. Before the New Horizons spacecraft visited Pluto, we had limited knowledge about its surface. Pluto is just one of hundreds of potential dwarf planets in this region, known as the Kuiper Belt. Each time we observe Pluto, it seems we uncover something new.